back in the day, the Ministry of Agriculture had recommended at least these 3 types of or varieties of onions, which were the Mercedes, the Arid, and the Grandstand. These were recommended based on our environment. Not only the environment in terms of temperature, but it was also taken into account the type of yields you would get from our soil and the temperatures that we have, and the actual storage of the onion itself, how long they would last. Because we don't want a crop that is going to be, that we have to use that fast, like tomorrow, next week. Onions, normally, what we are looking for is an onion that will store well, 6 to 8 months, around that time, approximately, all right? But apart from these actual varieties, there are new varieties that have come into Barbados. And we've got varieties such as the Californian Red, the Hunter River White, the Gladalen Brown, and the Saturn. Saturn is one that most farmers tend to work with nowadays. It gives good yields. It does give good yields, and it actually stores very well. It doesn't really give much problems in terms of our environment. So if you're really looking to, I'm not promoting any, by the way, but I've worked with Saturn. So if you are looking at any particular variety, Saturn might be a good one that you can actually get into. When you're looking into onions now, you have to take into consideration the planting times, especially for Barbados, because we are in Barbados and this is what we want to deal with. All right, so we are looking at onions to be irrigated. You can have rain-fed onions, all right, but obviously during the rainy season. But normal times, we are dry, we deal with a lot of drought, so you want to have an irrigated field, all right? So in this section here, you're gonna see the low rainfall. You can see that you can plant from January, February. All in these areas, you have the rain-fed areas right here. And for varieties that were recommended by the ministry at that time, you can, in terms of Mercedes, you can plant from September to February. You have for the Arid, August to December, and then further on, August to December again, and January and February for the Grandstand. This is to show you that you can basically plant all year round. So you're looking at optimum yields. A yield is what you produce, what is coming out after you plant your onions, all right? And you need to reach that by having freely drained soils, okay? We'll get into all of this in detail as we go, but you need to have freely drained soils. Your water should not be limited in any way. So therefore, you can't go out there and say, I'm gonna plant onions today, and then tomorrow, especially certain areas where we're dealing with water authority, and you don't have water, okay? So you need to have your water freely available also. The temperature and drought stress can significantly harm growth at certain periods, especially during the growth periods or the stages of the onions. So depending on the stage, you can actually find a big problem with your onions, all right? Planting density, the amount, in other words, and spacing are essential to determine onion bulb size and the actual number, okay? And yield, once again, are higher when earlier leaf cover is produced and then maintained for a long period prior to the bulb formation. I will stick with the last one because, as I told you, in terms of the structure, you're looking at the actual bulb. And remember I told you the bulb is a leaf, a modified leaf. So automatically, from a very young plant, if you have not established good leaf, a true leaf, for example, and good leafing structure, automatically you're not going to get good bulbing. So you understand how the structure is important to what you get in the end. Based on when you're looking at farming, in terms of any crop that you're looking at farming, you need to have a good site selection. Site selection means where you're going to be planting your crop. You need to, not just because you have a piece of land in the back, I'm not going to tell you don't plant it because I would, but you still need to know what you're going to be planting in that area, okay? So in this case of onions, your location or your area that you're looking to plant should be flat or gently sloped. Should not be a big hilly area, for example. Land should not be prone to erosion nor flooding. Easily accessible for inspection and collection, because you need to be able to get your onions when they're finished, right? And not only when they're finished, but during the crop in general, you need to be able to go there and look for pests and disease and control them in the early. Obviously, we look at the big one. Some place that we ain't gonna see nobody around our ground looking to teeth, unless y'all know what y'all should have by now. All right, and then we look at location with wind protection in terms of your crop. It should be ideal. You need to have wind protection. Why are we looking at wind protection? We looked at the structure of our leaves, of the onions. Yes, they're all the way down there. They don't grow very big. But you need to protect them, because without them, you don't have a bulb. Correct? All right, so you look at that because it will damage the actual development of your large bulbs. You're looking at large bulbs, not too large, because you have to still look at the market that you're dealing with. And you know how we are as Barbadians. We don't want it too big. It can stay in the fridge too long. Okay? And the pre-planting history of the land should be known. And the site should be free from weeds. History is important because, like any relationship, human or plants, you need to know what was there before you plant. Okay? You need to know what you are dealing with in terms of if sugarcane was there before, what has been diminished or taken from the soils, what kind of weeds, what kind of insects, what kind of pests and disease, in other words. All right? Onions can be grown on a wide range of soil. However, they grow well on loose soils. If you are in an area, for example, that has what we would consider a heavy soil. A heavy soil would be once it has in water, not the soil, for example, as it's dry and in the drought season, you're going to pick it up and it crumble in your hand. You will not be able to tell. But once you irrigated it or you put water on it and you give it a nice squeeze test, how compact is it? Okay? How compact it's going to be will determine how your roots feel in that soil and how much water they're going to get. So once you've realized from your own test how compact your soil is, you can determine if it needs a little bit of extra help. And by doing that, you can actually add some organic matter for those people who like to do organic farming. You know, you can do a little compost or decaying leaves, and that will help to loosen it up a lot. Right? Organic matter really and truly does help to act like a sponge, holding the moisture near the surface, and that's what you're looking for with your onions. They like moisture, not flooding or a lot of water, but they don't need to be absolutely dry. They like to have a little moisture so that they can do their thing when they want to do their thing. All right? If you're thinking about soil acidity, for those who like to get a little bit more technical, the pH that you should be looking to get is 5.5 or around 6.5, a little on the little acid side. What I'm saying here is, especially for us in Barbados, is we need to do some soil tests. You need to know what's in your soil so that you will know in the end how your onions should be coming out. When you do your soil, because sometimes as we're planting our crop, you go to your neighbor, he's planting the same crop. He might be in St. Lucie. When I say neighbor, you understand. You might be somewhere in St. George, but he planted the same variety as you. He got the same water as you. But your onion's looking small and his looking big. And you're checking, but why? Obviously, it got something to do with St. Lucie, but what could it be? It can't be the people, it has to be the soil. Okay? So he has something in his soil that you don't have in yours. So you need to understand what's in his soil and what's in yours and what you need to put in yours. So we'll get to that. So as I said here, you need to do some soil tests. One of the things I've realized throughout the seminars, we came around to talking about soil tests, anything in another seminar. And we rely a lot on, in terms of where we can get it done, government and whatnot. You can actually buy this online. if they're not already here. Check Carter's if anything. But you can buy a soil test online. You can actually do your little soil test at home and see for yourself how it really is. And it actually has, the pH, then you have the nitrogen, the potassium, and the phosphate, for example, okay? So you can phosphorus. So you can actually do your own soil test, okay?